Hi everyone, my name's Lou Sims and I'm here today to share an idea with you using my new stencils that will be coming out really shortly. I'm just going to grab a piece of black card so I can explain the stencils. Now the stencil designs for me that I've created, I wanted them to be able to be used in all different types of crafting genres. So for example, this one here could be used with your bullet journaling if that's what you wanted. It could still be used to create inky backgrounds. You can draw through it to create doodles, and so on and so forth. It goes through your texture paste, glitter paste, whatever you want. So I would selfishly have designed that it can cover all the different areas of things that I love to do. And one of the things I love is drawing through stencils. Not everyone feels confident doing their own drawings, so that was important to me. So we've got this design. We've also got this design here, and it's got leaves that you can use to go through to create your backgrounds. We've got portion parts here that you can just mask off and add as a background onto a card, or more importantly, the shapes are open enough that I can take a pencil or a micron pen and doodle through to create my own backgrounds. And finally, the third stencil is this one, and it's a mashup of different designs. But again, it was important that I could actually take the open shapes and doodle through them to create my own shapes, my own patterns. But I've got areas that I can create backgrounds with on my art journals or mixed media work. So it was, so it, they, I'm waffling now, but so they cross over to lots and lots of different genres. So for this one here, you could ink it down, rotate it, ink it again, rotate it, ink it again, and you've created a flower background that way if that's what you want to do. But today we're going to use the stencils and we're just going to create an art journal piece with them. Right, let's move the black card out of the way. Now I'm working in an A4 journal, so you can see what I'm doing, but this could easily be translated down to a smaller page. And I want to create the design, and I want to keep it quite simple and flowing, that from that design I can then take it a step further. And if I wanted to doodle out my own cards, I could actually do that as well. Now in my journals I always have a piece of funky foam or whatever you like to call it, and I just have it underneath, and it could be a piece of card. And the main reason for that is as your journals get fuller and fuller and you add more pages to them, there's not always a flat surface to work on. And at least the foam here gives you a flat surface, but also a nice soft surface to work on. Right, so now it's up to you whether you start with pencil first and then go over with black micron, or you start with your black micron. I'm going to start with pencil first because for me, it just allows me to plan out the different ideas that I want to do with it. So it might seem long-winded, but it just helps me work out, what I want to do, where I want to put things. And because it's in pencil, then I can rub out and change the look. So what I'm doing is I've got these broken diamond shapes, and I've done some whole and I've done some broken. And I didn't want everything to be perfectly symmetrical or normal. I wanted that you had little bits of added interest as such. So I'm going to do that there. And you've got 3 different shapes here, so you can mix and match even the shapes together. So I'm just going to, with these shapes, I'm using them just to plot out my initial design. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to carry on with those diamond shapes, as you can see, and just plot out the design I want to use on this page. Right, so that's just my initial starting point, and that just gives me a layout in my eyes where I want things to go. In my head, I'm trying to keep everything on the A4 sheet, but I've given myself a little bit of space if I want to come over here and add some journaling or add some extra bits. You know, I can carry the design on. I can smooth those out the way. I can make it a double page spread. You know, I can use it in lots of different ways. Now, on the stencils, as I said before, there's lots of different shapes, and I want to use some of the flower shapes we've got here and bring them in to the actual pattern. So I'm just going to choose areas. So I'm going to start with by choosing areas that are a little bit more open that I could put a whole flower in. And again, I'm sticking to my pencil because it just helps me work out where I want to plot the different designs, as I said before. And, you know, I can change my mind. And that takes away a little bit of the pressure, whereas if I put the black ink down straight away, I could do that. So I've got a flower there, and let's do another one here. Now on this stencil, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different flowers of this shape, and all in different sizes. And that way you could layer, when you're, if you were doing your inky techniques, you could put the biggest layer down in one colour and then go over the top with a smaller layer. Right, so let's put another bigger one here. So we've got those designs there. We've also got leaves that I can use. So we've got different, if I put my hand there, we've got different size leaves. So we could layer inside each other. So I'm just going to add 1 or 2 of the leaf patterns to it. And then I'll show you what I mean by layering inside. So I've added those leaf patterns there, but I can take a smaller shape and I can put it inside. So if I wanted to bring in an extra little bit of doodling, Zentangle, I can do that if, you know, if I want to. You don't have to. You can leave your leaves absolutely full and just colour, you know, just in one colour. And that's what I wanted the stencils to be. I wanted them to be a starting point for you to do your style of creating. If this is a moment just for you, you've got a moment just for you. So I'm going to do the same with the leaves on the other flowers as well. So as you can see, I've got those building up there. I can use some of the circles, and if I want to add a centre to my flowers, I can now use the circles in there to begin, you know, to add a centre to the actual flowers that I, you know, want to use. And we've got lots of other shapes, you know, that we can bring in to the different stencil. So we've got like this firework one here, and I want to start adding those in and creating something a little bit different with those. So I'm going to have a look and see. So all I'm doing now is I'm just working out where I want the next part of my design. So I'm leaving open spaces that I could stamp a sentiment in there. I could add just a background colour. So I've got an open space there, an open space there for a sentiment. Alternatively, I could put a sentiment there and there, or I could just have one central sentiment here. And this is just part of the creating process to work out where I would like other things to go and bring in lots of other different, points that I would want to do. So I'm going to think about adding some of the fireworks, as I've said, to the design, just to create something a little bit different. So I'm just going to doodle them on, and then I can explain to you a little bit more about what I've done. Right, sorry, I was about to jump ahead and not explain. So I've just put that firework display or flower. I'm making it a flower. It could be whatever you want it to be. And I've just put a circle there as my grounding point. I'm hoping you can see. If not, I will try and zoom the video in on certain areas so you can see what I'm doing a little bit more. So I've got that there, but what the stencil was designed to do was, the initial design, you can actually rotate it. Now this could be rotating for drawing, this could be rotating for inking, go with what makes your heart sing, really. So I'm just going to put another layer there. I mean, if I turn the stencil the other way round, for example, the shapes would be going the opposite direction. Now I'm going through the other shapes that are in the background there. If you don't feel confident about doing that, don't do it. So all of a sudden now I've got a greater shape. And obviously, once I go over with my Micron pen, I will take away the actual lines, and it changes the way it looks again. How the design is going to build up. I think I'm making this sound more complicated than it is. So I'm just going to do one or two more and just bring them into the design so I'm not looking for symmetry. I'm just going for what makes my eye happy with the design that I've created. So right, so I've got these in place, and they do look a little bit scrappy and messy, but once you've got your black lines in place, it suddenly takes on a totally different look again. And it's one of those things you've just got to go with the creating process and just enjoy how it actually looks. Now, we've got the leaves here, and this part here is really there for inking, but you've got an actual different sort of leaf shape to the original design I've done there. So you can mix and match with those leaf shapes if that's what you want to do as well. And I think I might actually do that, but I'm not going to colour in or draw around. If you want to draw around, by all means do. But for this design, I'm just going to keep it like that. And like before, I'm going to add the smaller design inside it. So I've got a bigger leaf there, and let's repeat it here. Now I'm confident about going over my patterns, and this is one of the reasons I do start with pencil. It just gives me the chance to change my mind, and that's when you're creating a piece that's just for you or whatever, it's great to have that ability to do so. So I've got a leaf there, and I'm just going to do, I think, one more coming across here. So I've got 3 leaves there, and I'm going to do the same, but I might only, because the pattern now, I might just do it so the pattern's going down longer, so only have 1 leaf rather than 3. And the same here. She says, right, shall I do it this way? Right, this is now where I've become lost in my own creating process. And I think it's important that we all do what our eyes like, and what someone else's eyes like are totally different things. And do you know what? There is nothing wrong with that. It's all about using the space how you like to use the space. So I've got that design there. And then what I want to do is I just want to add 1 or 2 other features. I don't want to make it too complicated, but I want to have a little bit more fun with it as well. So we've got some different type of chevron designs on there, and I just want to bring 1 or 2 of those in, and I'm just working out where I'd like them to go and which way round, because I can put them so that they're also like a diamond shape. I can put them so it's like a traditional square, and it's just working out the flow of my pattern that I would want it to go. I don't have to use the square, I can just use the chevrons, and I think I'm going to use a mixture of both. So I'm just trying to decide. Sorry, I'm faffing, but then I think this is just as an important part of the creative process too. Right, so all I've done is I've just created myself a faux border using the stencil, and it's not 100% straight, but you know what? It doesn't really matter. It's all about just having a little bit of fun with the design. Now, I could bring some of the same design over this side, but I just think that would take away from what's going on. But then, you know, that's up to you to take it how way you want to do it. You could mirror it down this side, so you've got a central portion. You know, have fun and play with it, you know, how you want to. Right, I'm going to bring in this stencil now because I just want to bring in some other elements, some other flow elements. And we've got arrows with circles in. We've got them in different sizes, different lengths. We've got the circles here that we could use. We've got traditional circles that are correct, and then we've got odd shaped circles as well, because I think if you're doing something hand drawn, or you want it to look like it's hand drawn, having a perfect circle doesn't always work, she says. Right, so let's have a look. Always add in more decoration. I could go over with smaller circles, and I could put them in different places I want to, so the filling gaps then become gaps where I see them after I've done all my black outlines. So what I'm going to do now is, I quite like this design. I'm going to go over it with my micron pens, and I'm just trying to think what outline pen I might use. Obviously microns come in different widths, so the thicker the width, of the nib, you know, the thicker the line. And I'm probably going to go for either a 0.3 or a 0.4 for my outlines. So I'm going to go away. I'm going to go back over all this work with a black micron pen, and I'll be back and we can talk about colouring and what we're going to do next. Everyone. Right, I'm back. I've done my black outline, and I've loved the pattern that I've got here. But the one thing, I'm going to be 100% honest, that's irking me is the chevrons. And the main reason is they just go on a slant, and that's just, I don't know why. Visually, for my eye, I can't be doing it. So what I'm going to do is, I love the chevron pattern, but I'm now going to take it away and bring it in different places. And this is one of the reasons I will start with pencil first, because now, as I've put my black lines in place and I can see where everything is, I can now start to make tweaks. Whereas if I'd done the black outline straight away, that would have been a little bit harder to do. So I'm just going to rub out the lines where I've got the chevron designs. Now, I've used quite a dark HB pencil, and that was so hopefully you can pick up what I was doing on camera. I will, all right, that's another top tip. If you're going to use a rubber, make sure you use the clean side, not the dirty, but we can watercolour that out. So as I said, I want to take away the chevron design, and the main reason for that is, yeah, it's not straight. It just doesn't look now a cohesive part of my design. So, and I'm just going to rub out any other pencil line that I've forgotten to do. There we go. Now, I'm not going to rub these bits out just yet. I will rub that one out because it does look a little bit silly randomly there, because I might still add these on. If I don't, I can rub them out. So there's just a little bit on that leaf there. I'm getting really too fussy now. So this is my design here. And what I want to do is, I love the idea of the chevrons being in there. I love the idea that they could be linking parts of it. But I think what I'm going to do is, I'm actually just going to use the chevrons just to link patterns together, whether that's, you know, straight. Sorry, that noise is like my air freshener thing. I thought I'd better explain. Whether I'm going to do them to link designs together, whether I'm just going to do it so it's a corner point, you know, I'm not 100% sure. And this is one of the benefits of changing your mind and doing things in lots of different ways. So I'm now playing around with the stencil to see where I want it to go. Now, if you don't want to add extra detail, as I said, doing it in pencil just takes that, you know, takes that away. Now, what I am thinking of is, I might not use the square, but I think I'm going to do the chevron. So it is linking some of the pattern, but I want to do roughly a straight line. I'm not worried if it's not 100% straight, but that one was going diagonally, and that was just doing, I'm sorry, that was just doing my head in a little bit. So I want to start with the chevron design, and I'm just lining up roughly. And one thing I do know that I want with the chevron design is, I am probably going to colour that in black and have it as a standout point. Now, I've committed now. So I would suggest, if you're going to change your design, go over it in pencil again. I mean, I've committed now, so I've got no choice. So I've got that little bit of a chevron there, and I just going to, now I could join it up and make it one continuous line, or I could leave a little bit of a gap between it. And that's one of the benefits, you know, of doing it this way. What I am going to do though, see, look, I'm changing my mind already, is I just want to make a mark with pencil, because I can rub the pencil out where this design ends. So if I want to do a third one up there, I can do a third one. and then I can link everything into the right place. So as I said, I could now put this on the top and I get a continuous line, or I could leave a gap, you know, between. So this is like, you've got to decide now what sings to your eye, what makes you happy visually. Right, sorry if my head gets in the way. It probably has now, and I do apologize. I will move out of the way. It's because I'm concentrating where and I'm making changes. So, like I said, apologies if my head gets in the way, but I will show you what I've done. And especially as I've got to say, I haven't done my hair. I've just scraped it back off my face. Right. So I've got the chevron design going down like that, and I quite like how that's going. Like I said, I could carry it on for another part. Not sure I want to, but I'm going to show you what I mean. So that goes there. And all the black is doing is, the black to me, when I colour in these parts here, is just giving your eye a focal point. So you could use like these chevron designs to go round something. So your eye in your doodle, your drawing, is drawn to that one point. So like I said, I've got the chevron going down there, and where would that end? Let's line it up properly would be a good idea. So that would end there and there. And what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to finish with just a little bit of the chevron peeking in places. And I'm colouring as I go along. And I'm stopping where there's another design. So I've got that like that. So I could go over the black line. So I've got the chevron going like that there. And I want to do something similar with it down here. And possibly something around here. So I've got, like I said, I've got that chevron because I do like the idea of the chevron being there. And I'm going to do it. You know when you go, I'm faffing now, but I see, to me, that's part of the fun is the faffing. I know for other people that's pure frustration, but for me, part of the fun is losing yourself in your design. Normally I'm using a number 3. I went for the number 3 micron in the end. I would, if I was colouring in normal circumstances, I would probably grab a larger micron pen, but that is for speed. Again, sorry if my head is in the way. It's that I've now forgotten that I'm videoing for you guys and I'm in creative process. So I do apologise there. So I just want to do, I'm just going to do one more. And all I was doing was working out where the leaf was. Now with the chevron, I didn't need to do both lines if I didn't want to. You could just do one line. I've taken the chevron stencil. I'm just seeing if that's a diamond I go through. It is. So I've got a little bit of the chevron showing there. I could do a third one, but I'm actually tempted to leave it like that because I could add more detail. I'm just going to have a visual check to see. Yeah, no, I'm going to leave it like that because I could add more detail or add another piece of the chevron on if that's what I wanted to do. And now I'm just going to do one of the chevron pieces. See, can you see again? I'm faffing. But the faff to me, I just love it. I appreciate, as I keep saying, that, you know, for other people it's frustrating. And if you're watching and it's frustrating, sorry. Right, there we go. So I've got one there. So these now are marker points. Now I might add another one onto that going into this direction, or I might leave it like that. But that's now given me a rough idea of where I want things to be. I've got to rub out some pencils, but I want the ink to be dry first before I do that. And then I've got the arrows, and I do want to bring in the arrows, but this time I am going to extend onto this page and make it just a little bit bigger than I did, so I can rub out the pencil line in a moment. So, and because I'm going to do these, I think, as well, and make them black, I'm not going to worry how I draw them in, because I'm going to end up colouring them. If you prefer to colour and stick within the lines, leave your stencil there, you know, and just colour, you know, straight away in place. If you're not fast, take your stencil away and do it. The bigger circles, I'm going to use a larger micron pen on, because otherwise I'm going to be here for hours. So I've got that going there. I want to do the same here, and I'm going to use that as my reference point, and I'm going to keep the arrow as it was. So as I said, as I'm going to probably do these black as well, I'm not worried that this with the black pen isn't 100%. I can colour that bit in, and I would make it neater. Well, I will make it neater, because otherwise, if I'm being honest, it will bug me if I don't. And I want to do a third one. Now, okay, the third one isn't just because it's the rule of threes. The third one is, for me, visually, I just think it would look better with a third one. That's just my thinking. But we're all different. Now, I'm going to apologise again if my head gets in the way, because I'm in concentration mode, and I will forget that I've got the camera there watching me. Right, so we've got this here. So we've got the design, okay, and I've got those parts there. So let's colour in those bits quickly, and then I'll explain what we're going to do next. So I'm just going to get a larger micron pen. 12 is probably a little bit too big. Have I got a 10? Sorry, I have 1 or 2 micron pens, as you can see. Let's go for an 8. And then if I colour this in, actually, I should have just done the 12, because it'd be even quicker. I just realised the 8 is slightly smaller, and then I should have just done the 12, because it's a much thicker nib, as you can see. So now, if you're worried about going out like the circle like I've just done there, put a white pen on it, or put the stencil back in place and draw inside the stencil. Now, with your stencils, when you're using your micron pens, that after a while you might find that you pick up some of the black line from like here on the micron pens. It is worthwhile every now and then just giving them a wipe down with a cloth, says me now using my fingers, just to take away that excess ink. Especially if you're going to use them then with different colour pens, or use them with a different medium or anything. I'm going to let the ink dry a little bit, and what I'm going to do then is rub out the pencil lines, because I've laid down quite a lot of ink with the micron pen. I'm just going to check it hasn't gone through the other page. No. And I'm just going to let it dry, rub out the pencil, and once that's done, let's see if that should be dry there. What I suggest, so now, this is where you've got options, okay? If you want to take this design and you want to take it one step further and make it into card fronts, you can do it in different ways. You can take so for example, That's a 7x5 card front. I could take an element of this design and put it straight away on here and reproduce it. Okay, and then it's a beautiful hand finished card. What I'm going to do is let this ink dry, and I will rub out the pencil marks, and I'll be back and I can explain what we're going to do next. Now, so we've got the finished piece here, and what I'd like to do next is start adding in a little bit of colour to the finished image. So this is now where your own personal preference comes in about how you want to do it and what colours you want to use, whether you want to go all bold and bright, whether you want to stick to one colour tone, you know, whatever works for you and how you see the design going. I haven't quite decided. I've got pencils out because for me, when I go into like a colouring zone, I love my watercolours, but when I'm doing a piece that possibly is just for me and for me to escape, I will use pencils. But what I am going to do is swap out the foam for a piece of card. It's because I'm using pencils, I don't want to press too hard and go and mark the page underneath in my journal. I'm just trying to think ahead. So again, as I said, it's, you know, how you want to see things done and change. So I'm just going to grab a couple of pencils, and I'm just trying to see what colours I'd like to do. I've got my pencils out, but I've got lots of little bits out. Let's have a look. Let's do that one. And right, so I'm going to start off with some blues, and you know, I'm going to do the diamonds in a like a blue colour because that's what I like to do. So, and I'm just going to lay down a little bit of colour. So you bring in now the colouring medium of your choice, and you build up the colours that you would like to do. So, as I say, when I colour with pencils, this is my little bit of escapism with pencils, because I find I actually just slow down, take a deep breath, and just enjoy the whole process of the colouring. As simply, you know, as simple as that. And I will just put down the basic colours that I want to use, and then I can always go and add in more colour, or I can go over the top with like my Sakura Sparkle pens just to add there, or even a clear glaze pen if that's, you know, how I want it to be. So I'm just going to begin, and I'll just do 2 or 3 of these just to show you how I want them to actually look. So as you can see by the tone of my voice, I've already started to slow down and just enjoy the whole process. Because when you create pages like this, that's what it is. It's just a time for you, a time just to bring in whatever you want to do. So I'm going to carry on colouring like this, and then I'll come back to you once I've done all the diamonds. Right, so that's the starting point for my layer of colour. And I will go back over and I will, as you can see now as I'm talking to you, I'm adding different, seeing where I've missed bits, but it gives me a grounding point, a starting point of how I'd like the colours, you know, to look going forward. Right, let's just put you, I'm muddling all my pencils up, but I'm just going to put them together so I know they were the three I used if I want to go back. So I'm now going to look at how I'm going to do the different flowers, and I'm not sure yet what colour I'm going to do the petals, but I'm going to start off with the leaves first. So I think I'm going to go for quite, I'm having a look here, let's have a think. I'm going to go for a mixture of colours, and I probably bring in a yellow. So as before, all I'm going to do is find where I want the leaves to be. Now, colouring, enjoy the colouring how you want to enjoy the colouring. If you want to put, you know, light and dark, put light and dark in. If you want to have a light source, do it as a light source. But for me, the colouring is just about having a little bit of relaxation, a little bit of a deep breath, as I said, and just enjoying laying down the colour and bringing this drawing, or however you want to call it, art doodle, art journal, you know, bringing it to life how I'd like to bring it to life. So I'm just going to add a little bit of the green there. And I'm just going to bring in a little bit of the yellow. Now, I haven't blended my pencils together yet. I mean, I am blending colours on top of colours, but what I meant was I haven't gone over with a blending pencil or a tortillon to blend all the colours. I'm just laying down the initial colour to see where I want different things to go. So I'm just going to carry on building up these leaves, and like before, I'll just keep building up the colour, and once I've added those onto the leaves, I'll be back. Okay, now, so that's the leaves done. Now, this is just laying down my colour. I would neaten everything up and I would add a little bit darker and lighter spots to everything. But this is just giving me an idea of the colours I want to use. Now, I've got some extra parts in here regarding the parts of the leaves. Now, I could leave them blank. I'm not sure as yet. I think what I'm going to do is actually colour the flowers and then decide whether I would like to have this a darker green or just leave it plain, and see where I go from there. In my head, I think I'm going to keep these leaves a different colour, so I have a contrasting green, but again, I'm going to leave it open. These sort of pages to me grow with you, and you know, make changes as you go along. There is nothing wrong with changing the design, changing the colour, adding a little bit more of your outline to it. It's a page that, you know, can be whatever it wants to be. It can be more, or you could do everything black and white. Right, so I'm just going to think of some colours for these flowers first, and we'll get those done, and I'll be back in a moment. Right, I've decided to go for some quite dark, well, not dark, but in a contrast, some reds, or like a pink red. And I'm just going to build up the flowers. Apologies if my head gets in the way. I have to say, I've kept my book in the same location. Normally, if I wasn't doing this video, I would be saying to you all, move your book around, move your book around. That padding you can hear is my dog Ty coming to say hello. Because he can hear me talking and it's like, oh, who are you talking to? Is there someone here? So when you're doing your colouring, move your work around. I've just kept mine here because I know it fits within the camera space so you can see what I'm doing. Because I'm working in an A4 journal, to keep moving it around and to make sure it stayed within the camera would be a little bit trickier. So that's why some of my colouring is lurking a little bit on the ropey side. But actually, as I said before, it doesn't matter. I'm enjoying the process. I'm just loving the time. And here he comes again going, who are you speaking to? Right, and then I just want one more colour. Now, you don't have to do colours in threes. You could just do one solid block colour. You know, it really... Go with the colouring that you like to do. Hello again. You come to say hello to us all, have you? Oh, you have you? You're talking to us. Right. Okay. I've got a Springer Spaniel, so he's a little bit big to bring up to show you on the table. Right, so that's the flower that I'm going to do there. And as I said, I'm not quite sure whether I want to leave these white as a contrast or add in a little bit more colour. That, I think, as the pattern grows, I'll get an idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do these two exactly the same way, and I'll come back and we'll finish those bits there. Right, so that's those done, and I'm actually liking the colours, and I think I'm going to repeat the same colours of the flowers in these ones as well. So I'm going to go ahead and colour those, and in exactly the same colours, because I actually quite like how it's looking now. Regarding the leaves, I'm I'm still not sure yet, but as I said, it's, you know, it's a work in process, and it's just enjoying that actual process. Um, and if this is a work just for you to, you know, chill out, do your own thing, there shouldn't be any stress to it, and it's, you grow with the work as you lay down your colour and you decide, you know, what you want to do next with it. So I'm just going to colour this flower in, and as I said, I'm not quite sure yet what I'm going to do with the leaves, whether I'm going to keep them the same colour, or I'm, you know, I quite like the idea in a lot of my work of sticking to the same colour palette. So, you know, sticking to the same colour leaves and just maybe adding some shadow in more shadow in places, rather than, you know, lots of different colours. But then nature is made up of lots of different colours, so, you know, that doesn't matter either. I suppose that let your work talk to you about what you think works for it. So just going to put these colours down. Now, if you don't colour right to the edge, that just gives you like a freebie white highlight on your pen, or you could go back over with a white gel pen, which I'm going to probably say we will do some extra little bits and pieces on the flowers. So I'm liking the colour there. We can build that up a little bit more. So I'm going to colour those two in. Okay, so that's the flowers done. I'm going to do the leaves similar colours to these ones here, but then we can add a little bit more shading and depth to them. You know, as we go along. Sorry, I'm trying to colour and talk, and as I said, with pencils, I just go into my own little world and just enjoy the process of laying down the colour that I want to use. So on these ones now, I think I might leave the yellow off. We'll see. Okay, so we've got a little bit more colour going on there. I'm going to do the centre of the flowers. And I'm going to do all the centre the same. I'm just not keeping to a simple colour palette, but okay, I've got a huge set of pencils beside me there. Not everybody has that. So even if you've only just got the primary colours or a small set of pencils or paints, pens even, sometimes sticking to a smaller colour palette gives equally as effective and striking results as if you threw down every single colour going. Right, so that's the centre of those done there. And now, really, I'm going to just start tidying up, because obviously some of my colouring is rushed. There's lots of squares there. I'm just going to start neatening up some of the colours and bringing in some darker and some lighter. I'm just looking for the colour I would like. So, for example, on this one here, I'm actually going to go even darker. Which one shall we go for? I want to go for either like a deep colour colbert, or I'm looking at possibly a grey. Okay, so I'm just going to do the grey, and all I'm doing is just putting a little bit of the grey. If you can't see, I will try and zoom the camera down so you can see what I've actually done. Sorry, I'm going quiet again, aren't I? I do apologise. It's, like I said, I'm going into the colouring zone. And that's, you know, that is what's fantastic about creating pages like this, and then picking the right colouring medium, you know, that works for you, that chills you out. Because I'm doing this whole page in one go. Being truthful, I would probably do this in stages. I would do so much, come back to it, because it can, you know, you can take as long as you like or as short as you like when it's a piece of work that you're just doing for you. Right, so there's me saying I'm only going to do one or two of the dark grey, and I'm now getting a bit carried away. I will do a block, and then, as I said, what I'll do is I will zoom the camera in a moment, and I'm just going to now go over the grey with another blue. And all I'm doing now is I am adding shade, but not in the true sense that I know the light is coming from one area and therefore it should be lighter there and darker there. I'm just doing it how I would like these to look on my piece of work. Because this is in my journal. If I want to share it, I can. If I don't want to share it, I don't have to either. So, see, I'm just going over. So the grey is just giving me a little bit of depth. If you don't have a grey, use a black and just build up, especially if you're using the pencil, just build up the layers slowly with a black pencil so it doesn't go too intense straight away for you. But then again, if that's the look you want, you know, there's nothing wrong with that either. Right, so I've got them done there. Now I'm going to use a blending pencil. I'm just going to lean across and go and find it. There we go. Now, if you don't have a blending pencil, all a blending pencil does is just merge all of these together quickly. You could use a tortillon. Sorry, there's me. Whoa. Right, I'm dropping everything everywhere. I could edit that out, but then why? So you could use a tortillon, which would work, which is like a paper stub, and you could blend with those, or a blending pencil. If you have neither of those, you could go over with a lighter grey or even your white and blend all the colours together. If you blend with your white, it's going to be a little bit lighter, but then there's nothing wrong with that either. So so what I mean by a blending pencil is all it's going to do, right, I've got a bit of fluff on mine, that's better. All it's going to do is just pull the pencil down and merge all the colours together for me. And I can actually hear my voice going really, really quiet. Right, so now I will zoom the camera down. So this one here, where you can see it's been blended out compared to that one there. And all it's doing is it's just putting all the colours together for me, and it's doing all the hard work. So I'm going to go ahead and carry on with these. And when I've done them all, I'll be back and we can talk about the next stage. The reason I keep coming back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, I know watching people colour sometimes is not for everybody. I know for other people, seeing people colour, you know, it is quite relaxing as well. I love watching people colour. Main reason, I'm absolutely fascinated with colours people choose for their projects. So watching them colour and seeing what the colours they've used for their projects absolutely fascinates me, because sometimes it pushes me out of my comfort zone to mix and merge other colours that I may not have normally thought about putting together, or layering on top of each other, that sort of thing. You can now see the difference between those squares and these ones here. Now, if you like this look, that's fine. You don't need to go any further. Right, so I've got those there, and what I'm going to do with the grey pencil, let's put that blue down, is I'm just going to grab a darker green as well. But what I'm going to do with the grey pencil is where I've got what I would perceive as slightly shadower, darker areas, I'm going to put down a little bit of the grey in there as a shadow, and use one of the green. Now, you don't have to have a blending pencil to blend your colours together. You can keep working over and over with the same colour. You'll know when you've blended your pencils just that little bit more, the most they can, because the colour will just not move anymore. It will not work inside each other anymore. Okay, so I'm just going to get a brush just to sweep away the excess over there. So you can now see where I've added some depth and colour on the blue and the green of the leaves. And I'm going to carry on doing that with the rest of the picture. So once I've got all of those shading areas done and all blended in, I'll be back and we can see then what we're going to do next with the page. Okay, so I'm back. I've done a little bit of the blending that I want to do on the images. I've left some of the blue squares without the dark on there, so it just gave a little bit you know, of a contrast between all the design. Now I'm going to say the next part for me I think is my favorite, and that's the I'm trying to think of a polite word for it. It's the faffing part. It's where you can add little touches of you to your piece of work. So I'm just going to grab some micron pens. Now, we could do those in colour or we could do those in black. I'm going to do mine in black for the moment, and then I might bring some coloured ones in. Let's just put them there for now. And I'm going for the smaller nib. And what we can do is we can add just some tiniest little detail with the micron pen. Now I will zoom the camera down. You don't have to do them in all of them. You can just do them in a few. So as I said, this is my favourite part. This is when I can now add all those extra little bits and pieces because what we add as decoration now as our own little bits and pieces brings out a little bit of us in here, whether it's we added some journaling, we added some stamped images, or we just doodled inside. So I've just done a few there, and I've just added a little bit of detail again with a micron pen. And there's me saying you don't have to do them in all, and I'm now busily sitting here adding them to a few. So all I'm doing is some simple lines down or up as well, and just a few little dots. Because the micron pens are permanent, they will go over the pencil, so you do need to pick a pen, you know, that will go over, because I'm working with wax pencils, so it needs to be, you know, a permanent archival pen that will work on top of these surfaces. Right, so let's do one or two more. As you can see, so I've got to do that one because that will just bug me. I don't know why, but it will. And I'm going, there we go. So I've just added a little bit more decoration and a little bit more detail in. I can do exactly the same in the flowers. Now, if you prefer, bring your white pens in. You don't have to use a black. Just because you've used black as well doesn't mean you can't go over the top with a white one. Well, it depends on your pen. With the Sakura you can, because obviously they're designed to work on non-porous surfaces. So going over each pen is like a non-porous surface. So I've added some detail there. In the centre of the flower, I can add a little bit more detail in there like that. And I probably will go over with a little bit of white pen, so I can add a little bit more detail in amongst that there. So I'm just going to keep those two there. Now the other thing I want to do is I want to bring in some of the colour of the flowers where I've got the red and the orange, just to tie it in. And you could do this freehand, or you could use your stencil that we've got. And I'm just trying to see which design I want to use, because we've got some like little teardrop shapes that would look rather nice. We've got stars and we've got circles. So I think I'm going to go for a mixture I'm going to start with some of the circles to begin with. Now, this is personal preference again. This could be, I'm just going to move my scissors out the way. This could be done with a black fine liner, or you could go straight away in with your pencils. So all I'm doing is I'm just lining up some of the circles. So I'm going to decide whether I want to, I'm just grabbing some pencils that match in, and I'm just going to go and grab my blender pencil again. I think I might need to sharpen a few, but we'll see. So I can go straight away in with colour. So I'm just going to put on a red pencil there and go round. So I'm using the stencil, and if I use my blender pencil straight away, it can blend it in. So if I don't like the way the edges look, I can go round with a micron pen if I want to. So all I'm doing really is going round and round and round in a circle, and then I'm just using my blender pen pencil to just blend the colour in for speed, and because it's something a bit different there as well. As I said, this is I would say for me, my favourite bit, because this is where you want to put the decoration in, because we all like things differently. So what I might add in as decoration might not appeal to you, and that's cool. So as you can see, I've added in now a few dots. Now, if that looked lost and it looked like it needed a black outline, I could go back over with a black outline. I'm just going to do the colour that I've got out. I'll stick to the colours I've got out. Rotate your stencil around to get the circles in lots of different places. As I said, I probably could do with sharpening my pencils. So all I'm doing the brush for is just in case there's any pencil flakes for. So as you can see, I'm building up the colour, and just by doing those little dots on there, it's starting to tie everything into each other. And where we did the little outlines in there, it makes them stand out also in there, and the same with the flower here. So it's all about just tying in a few of the colours. So we've got some down here. I think we just need a few up here. So everything's building up. So I've decided that this area, if I'm going to do anything, is probably going to house, if I'm going to put a sentiment in, it's going to be the area that houses the sentiment. Right, so let's just move you out of the way for the moment. I'm gathering pencils up like nobody's business. So, and as I said, this is where you can start to bring in a little bit more of you. I'm going to go for the 005. So I can carry on building these up, and I'm just, as I said, I can carry on building these up. And the same with the flowers here, so we can do, and all I'm doing is little lines and a few dots. And I'm doing them in black, and I probably will get a white gel pen as well and go over the, add a touch of white, because obviously I've got a white background, so bringing the white in is not such a bad idea either. And then just a few dots. In the center, and I'm going to do a few dots in this one. Now with this flower here, I could doodle in between, or I could leave it, so if I wanted to, I could doodle in between and add a little bit more detail. I quite like them as they are. I might add white into those. And this is where I have a little bit more fun and bring in a little bit more me into the pattern, you know, that I would like to do. So where I've got some arrows, I could add a few more arrows, and I'm just looking to see which ones I want to use. I'm not sure if I want to use the dashes. I could bring in a few circles actually, because the circles go with the design. As I said, this is my favourite part. This is where I faff, and this is where I become lost in the whole process of it all. I'm going to do something a little bit different, I think. So this is where, you know, I become lost and I just have a little bit of fun and a little bit of me time to do it. Right, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to do some simple lines. So I'll start off with the finer micron. Actually, I quite like the idea of doing some banners as well. Some banner shapes. Right, okay, so I'm actually just going to use the banner shape for the moment. No, I fib again, sorry. And like I said, this is where I faff. This is where I thoroughly enjoy adding the little bits of me. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a few, again with a very fine micron pen. So I'm just going to start off by just adding a few lines and a few dots. And I can carry on building it. I could have carried those on across this side, so I might just do it, see what it looks like. Not on all of them, but on some of them. I've got that line there, and we can do a few dots, and then on the line itself I can add a few dots to it as well. Let's do that line. So I'm using the stencil really as a ruler. If they're not straight, that's my fault, because actually I'm sitting down to do this, and I would probably have been better standing up so I could see. But and we can, I'm just going to put a few lines there, and I'm going to do a third one, and I'll do this one here. So these parts don't need to be done. You could stop where we've done the colouring, add your sentiment, and just leave it there. And it's stopping, or where you feel that you've done enough on the page that makes you happy with your design. So I'm going to probably carry on just building up one or two more parts of this, and then add a sentiment. What I'll do is like I said, this now is where you need to take it into the different directions you want to take it in. Add some extra doodles, add some extra lines if that's what you would like to do. Call it finished and, you know, take it from there. So in this book, this is my black journal, Sakura journal. I'll get there in a minute. So this is doing the same sort of pattern that we've done with the same sort of stencils, but I've just done it in my black journal, and I've used blue pencil and silver pencil on here, and obviously a white gel pen, and I've added some sentiments in here. So I've got perfectly imperfect, happy days, just because. So just using that design there. Now to photocopy that would be just nigh on impossible, but what I did do was doing something similar to that. I've then taken it, and this is like taking portions of these, and I've just, where you've got the flower, I've coloured them in black, and then I've just added, you know, blue detail, and the leaves are in black, and this now becomes a card front. And I've just added a sentiment and a few little embellishments here and there on it, but I've now created a card front just by taking that design. So, and that was what I wanted the stencils to do. I want them to be mixed media pieces. I want them to be inky pieces. I want them to be doodly pieces. I want you then to be able to do card fronts if that's what you would like to do as well. So it's using them in lots of different ways to suit the crafting that you like to do. I hope that makes sense. So as I said, this is my fun part now. I've got to the stage now where I'm at the faffing stage, where I add a little bit of me to it now. And that's what you need to do. Have a look at what you've done. If you're happy with what you've done, leave it. If not, stop and think, what do you want to add to it? Grab some pens, pencils, whatever, you know, and just add a little bit of your personality into it. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for bearing with me, because it is a long video, and I hope it gives you a different idea of, you know, the stencils that I've created, how I wanted to use them, and the lots of different applications you can do with them. If you loved the video, I'd love it if you subscribe to my channel, hit the notifications button, like the video. YouTube likes all of that. It's all about, unfortunately nowadays, it's not just about subscribers, it's about liking and commenting on videos as well. So I'd be over pleased with and chuffed if you wanted to join along. I'm going to be doing some more videos linked to the release of my collection, not just with the stencils, but with the stamps and the backing papers and the dies too. So do watch this space. Thank you ever so much for your time, and I hope to see you all again soon. Thank you again. Take care. Bye bye. I've got to finish and quickly say that bye bye sounded absolutely ugh. So bye.